All right, tubers. Madame Roy back once again. Back to you with a Mother's Day live stream. And I'll say this a few times within this, but happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. It is Sunday, May 13th, 2018. Where's the time gone? I cannot believe that it's almost halfway through the year now. My birthday's passed. Mother's Day is about to be passed. It just goes way too quickly. Luckily, I'm able to get a little bit better light in here. Let me try to turn this around just a tad. If you guys remember the live stream I did with Eric Brunhammer, the lighting was abysmal. That was because I was downstairs on our kitchen counter where we don't have a lot of lights. But my aunt just had me build or this little light that she had gotten from one of the local stores. I'll see if I can show it to you. I'll turn the laptop really quickly. If you guys can kind of see it up there, it's one of these floor lamps with the three lights right there. And what I actually did, hope I didn't hurt anybody's eyes there. What I actually did was once I got it put together, I went down to Dollar General, which here in the town of Wellsville, we're at one side of the town, and Dollar General's at the other side of the town. So I wound up getting a lot of walking in today. I went there, and I picked up a 4-pack of General Electric LED bulbs. These were daylight 60-watt bulbs, and that's what I'm actually using now. And you can see it's made a huge difference. My face is nice and clear. There's no more pixelation. Doesn't look like there are little ants crawling over my face. Ah! But I digress. We're going to wait a few more minutes. I see Eric Brunhammer and George Blakely are here, both saying hi to me. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad you are here. We got 5 watchers and 2 thumbs up. Thank you guys so much. Wasn't sure exactly how this would work because I am actually on Wi-Fi here, and the router is at the other end of the house that I'm at right now. I'm actually in a bedroom that we believe used to be part of a porch, and you can actually tell because it's independent of the house when it comes to heating. There's actually a little radiator, an electric radiator down there, and if you look at the ceiling a little bit, it slants downward. So that kind of tells me this was probably originally a porch. So the reason they do that is they always slant porches because when it rains, there needs to be a way for the water to drain off and not actually pool on the porch itself. Unfortunately, in our house, our little concrete porch has actually done the opposite. It's actually sunk back down. That's the second time we've had that fixed. So I think we're gonna have to get that repoured in the near future. Sam Heron, I got the day off work. That's always nice. When being self-employed, I am always at work, or at least I always feel like I'm at work. It's nice in the sense that you can make your own times, but when you are employed by a company, then you actually have physical times where you're off work. Like you're at home and you're not doing anything. You can chill, you can be with your family. Whereas even when I'm off hours, I'm on hours, if you guys know what I'm saying. 6 watchers and 3 likes. Excellent. Hope my audio quality is good. Nobody's complained, so I assume everything sounds good. AJ Mickey plays. Hope your mom had a wonderful Mother's Day. Yes, she did. As a matter of fact, my aunt, and I went over to visit a friend of my aunt's. He's an older gentleman from England in his 80s, and we picked him up. And surprise, surprise, he wanted to go ahead and buy my aunt at least a flower bouquet, and he got my mother a pack of these Lynn chocolates. If you guys have ever had those, they are really good. Actually, mom's finished about half the box already. I think I'm gonna have to take that away from her because she's doesn't have that much willpower when we're on vacation. I myself am actually doing very well. I'll talk more about that later on. But there's 2 grocery stores that are local here. One is Giant and the other is Tops. And if you watch my vlog from the other day, you've probably seen a snippet of both of those. Today we actually went to both again because when we went to Giant, my mom, she actually got some of this really, really good. This local store, Giant, is family owned, and they make their own fresh cold cut roast beef. And the way they actually do that is they take a piece of beef. Usually it's like a brisket. It could be other cuts, but generally they use the brisket. They roast it They season it and roast it, and then what they do is they chill it once it's out, when it's done cooking, and they cut thin slices into cold cuts, and that's actually what they sell. It's very expensive. It's $10 a pound, but we decided to treat ourselves because we cannot get that in Virginia where we are. And I don't really eat beef that often, but when I do, I like it to be a really good cut. So we took that back home. Let me back up a little bit. After we got that there and we got a little cheese to put on it, I got my actual treat for today. I actually treated myself to a donut. It was like a cappuccino donut, which I knew I was going to do because I haven't had sweets in probably 3 weeks, close to a month. So treated myself to that. And then we went over to the other grocery store, Tops, because that grocery store has the actual bakery that makes their own bread. So we got rye bread, dropped my aunt's friend off, came home, and then we had roast beef and cheese sandwiches on rye bread. And I tell you, beautiful, absolutely delicious. Their roast beef was tender, juicy, and it was pink before. I know somebody's going to ask me that. It was nice and pink, so it was a little on the medium rare side, I would say. 9 watchers and 6 likes. Awesome. Come on, let's get some more views here. I know we can do it. I know we can get up to at least 25 watchers. I want to get at least 25 watchers on this live stream. Elizabeth Laforte. Hey there, Matt. Happy Mother's Day to Mom. Do you have your follow-up doctor's appointment yet? Did you ever try that Head and Shoulders remedy? I'll answer both parts of that question. I did have my follow-up with the doctor, and he gave me, I don't have it right here. Hang on, let me go grab it real quick. If you guys heard things creaking in the background, this whole floor creaks a lot. He gave me some of this ointment, if you guys can read it right there. Hopefully my camera's good enough for it. But basically, I've been applying this 3 times a day, and the rash is gone. I mean, I'm not going to go all the way down, but you can see it is totally gone. Other than that, I did get my lab results back, and with the exception of one thing, pretty much everything was in range, and that was my LDL cholesterol, which is like your bad cholesterol. They want your LDL cholesterol to be around 100. That's the goal pretty much for any healthy individual. And mine was at 102, so it was only slightly elevated. And the doctor didn't give me any medication or anything, but he did tell me a few things to stay away from. And basically, what increases your LDL are things like animal fat, animal protein. So your fatty meats. What can I think about that? Like fatty pork, ground chuck, hamburger, basically, and then your animal fats, things like half and half, which I do drink a lot of half and half. I put that in my coffee, so I'm going to be cutting that out. And your fatty cuts of cheese. So basically anything from an animal. And then, of course, like I said, your red meats. Those are things that usually increase your LDL. So I'm going to do better with that, but everything else was in range. As a matter of fact, when they tested my kidneys were functioning so well, they couldn't even test the bun creatine in it because there just really wasn't any in there. So I'm very blessed there. To think where I was a year and a half, 2 years ago, how unhealthy I was living, to come from that point where pretty much everything was out of range to where everything is in range now, even you can do it. Because as I've said in the past, I am nothing if not a weak-willed person. And it just got to the point where I said, okay, you know what? I'm tired of living this way. I can't do anything. There was a point a few years ago when I was at my heaviest that I just stayed in bed a lot of the time, because when you're pushing 400 pounds, you can't move your body around that much. It actually would physically make me sick to do any kind of exercise. I'd go outside, maybe till in the garden a little bit, pull out some weeds for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'd be out of breath, and I'd be inside, ready to sit down. And of course, what do you do when you sit down? You look for food, because that winds up being your comfort. So As I've said in the past, just do your best and make sure that you don't get depressed. And if you do have issues with like depression, anxiety, get that dealt with because that is a big part of your overall success when it comes to weight loss. Okay, Elizabeth LaFour. I got you. I got you. Lafort. Gotcha. Okay. I told you I'm not great with pronouncing names. If I butcher your names, I apologize. It just you know who you are, and I think most of the YouTube audience knows who you are too. AJ Mickey plays. At least you're working on living a better life. Some others either don't have any motivation or don't have the will to. Exactly, exactly. I was definitely in that category for many years, but it got to the point, like I said, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of being unhealthy, being unable to do the activities that I want to do. And yeah, you'll get there too. If you were in my shoes, or you're a few years younger, you're still trying to lose weight. Believe me, you'll get to the point where you're frustrated enough that you'll want to do something about it. Robert Westfall, looks like you got a little son. It's funny you should say that because my aunt told me the same thing. And it's hard for me to say because, I see myself in the mirror every day, but I have to just go by what she said. She says I have a little bit more of a tan. I am Scandinavian. I'm Norwegian descent. So I am very, very, very fair skinned to begin with. So tanning for me is kind of a no-no, but when you're outside walking on a daily basis, 5, 6, 7 miles, it's just going to happen. And I cannot wear a lot of sunscreen because that also makes me break out in a rash. Thank you. Eric Brunhammer says your relative has been added to the prayer chain at my church. Thank you very much. The situation has improved greatly, and that's all I'm going to say on that subject. We have 11 watchers and 7 likes. Awesome. And I realize if we don't get to my goal for watchers, because it is Mother's Day, and again, you want to really be with your mothers. But I needed to take some time away because we've been with each other all day long, and I think we just needed some time apart. So that's pretty much why I want to do this live stream. Got my cup of coffee here. Right now, I'm actually drinking the vanilla cappuccino. This is the brand. This is the Aldi's brand one, and this is really, really good stuff. Though this does have 70 calories, so if you're going to drink this, make sure you add that into your calories for the day. It's not like just drinking a regular black cup of coffee or a cup of coffee with, say, a little bit of half and half in it. You're going to have to count those calories in your diet. AJ Mickey plays. I myself am trying to lose some belly fat. I used to work out, but I find it hard to continue the routine after like 1 week. Yeah, and I'll say 2 things about that. Belly fat is one of the hardest types of fat to get rid of, especially in guys. This is something very interesting the doctor told me. If you are diabetic, you are doubly susceptible to belly fat, and here is why. Triglycerides are basically molecules that the cholesterol binds to. There's a formula. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but basically, the higher your blood sugar, in other words, diabetics for the most part, they have higher triglycerides. Well, the triglyceride molecule likes to accumulate right there in the gut, literally right down here. So if you're diabetic, it's very, very important to keep your blood sugars under control by diet, exercise, medication, whatever you have to, because once your blood sugars get lower, then you're going to be able to burn off that body fat. If your blood sugar continually stays at an elevated level, you have almost no chance of ever burning off any belly fat. And I know that from experience because when my A1C at its highest was like 7.6, 7.7, somewhere around there. My triglycerides were off the chart. Like average is like 49 to like 149. Mine was like closer to 200, and I had tons of belly fat. You guys have been with me for a long time. Remember that. So basically, get your blood sugars under control, and pretty much everything else should fix itself with the exercise and the dieting. You just do whatever you have to get those numbers down. Stephen Barber, Matt, I never descaled my Keurig and was wondering how I should do it. I bought the Keurig version of the descaling solution. Yeah, I've never used that stuff. I know a friend of mine did. You can follow the instructions on there, and it does a really good job from what I understand. What I do with mine about once a year, um, I empty out my Keurig. I pretty much just, dump all the water out from the reservoir, and I put in about half a gallon. I run half a gallon of straight vinegar through. It's usually a white vinegar, but you can use apple cider vinegar too. Just not red wine vinegar. That'll damage the pump. But you run about a half a gallon of that through per Keurig. I have two, so I actually have to buy a gallon of the vinegar, the white vinegar. Run that through straight. Do not dilute it. And then once you've done that, you run water through it. Now, it's hard to gauge exactly how much water you need to run through it. In my case, basically, I'll just keep running water through it until I notice the taste of the vinegar is out. You may still have a little bit of lingering smell for the first couple of brews after you clean it, but as long as the taste is gone, they're usually good to go. You do that once a year, you should be fine. And it also depends on the type of water. Now, I use filtered water in my Keurig, which allows me to only do this once a year. But if your area has hard water, basically water with a lot of minerals in it, then you probably want to do this twice a year. Eric Brunhammer, I get it from both sides. On dad's side, the men are usually slightly overweight. On my mom's side, everyone is, as Donald Trump would say, huge. I love that. It's a New York accent for you. It is hard to keep my weight under control. Genetics definitely plays a part in it. I know, at least in my case, on pretty much both sides of my family, most of them are thin, but on my dad's side, my dad and his brother are a little bit on the hefty side. So there definitely is a genetic component to it in my case. But even with the genetic component, you just need to alter your diet, exercise more, and you will lose weight. I don't care if you are the most unhealthy person out there. Just changing your diet and exercising, you'll start losing something. And don't get discouraged when you start to plateau. Just push through it. There might be weeks where you lose five. In my case, when I first started, there was weeks I would lose 5 pounds. Then there would be 2 weeks I maybe not even lose a pound. But then another few weeks I'd lose another 10 pounds. So you're gonna have those plateaus. You just have to kind of play through that. Andrea Mallory, is red your favorite color? She probably notices I wear a lot of red shirts. I like red. No, red. Let me readjust here. Red is not necessarily my favorite color, and when I was young, it was different. I used to be green. My room was green, my walls were green, my carpet was green. Now I would have to say it's a tie between blue and red, maybe. But no, red is not specifically my favorite color. Elizabeth LaFort wrote, I know you're taking care of your family, but for future trips, I'd like to see more walkthroughs if possible. Tour of the Green Library years ago, especially paired with the music, was great. Actually, The library you're referring to is not the one in Green. I believe the one you're referring to is the library that's in this town. The one that I did that big tour in, where I actually overlaid the music because they were playing a lot of music and people being very loud. That's actually this town. That's the library in Wellsville. And the reason I filmed that for so long is we don't actually get up here very long, for very often, I should say. It's kind of rare. I've only been into this town maybe 3 or 4 times in my entire life. So, yeah, take a look at that video again. There may have been another one where I did the library in Green, but I almost positive you're referring to the one that I did here because I did do a walkthrough of the library here in Wellsville, New York. Yeah, yeah. There's another question. Where's the gift card giveaway? Yeah, that is coming, guys. I promise. And I apologize it hasn't happened already. The gift card itself is actually sitting at home. It was an emergency. We had to leave the house so quickly that we wound up forgetting a lot of things. To be honest with you, we had to wind up buying about $100 worth of groceries and household items that we normally would have brought with us, but when we got the news that we had to leave, I mean, we literally packed in 2 hours and we were on the road. So, unfortunately, that's what happened there. But yes, the giveaway is going to be coming. I promise that. Sam Harron, what are your coping strategies when you crave opening the fridge? That is an excellent, excellent question. Two things: exercise, YouTube. Those are the two things I use. So, generally, it's exercise. Normally, if I'm late at night and I'm craving some food, I'll go and walk around the house a few times. If it's during the day, I'll go out and I'll just walk around. But the fact that when I'm home at least, the fact that I have my day job, even though I'm self-employed, it's still a day job, but it goes and spills into the night because inevitably I'll be working out of the house on somebody's computer during the day, and at night I'll be working on the computers that I brought home that I couldn't fix out in the field. And then, of course, doing YouTube, the combination of those two things, it keeps me so busy. To be honest with you, I don't even think about going to the fridge. So another thing you can try is just keep yourself busy. It doesn't matter what it is; anything will work. It'll just take your mind off wanting that midnight snack. Michael Lafort wrote, I read that they are sending robot bees to patrol Mars. That's so crazy. Wow, that sounds like something I would have heard on George Norrie's Coast to Coast back in the day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was this really crazy AM radio show back in the day, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Art Bell did it first. And I think the show is still played in certain areas, but not in ours anymore. Basically, it was an overnight show late at night where people would call in with the most bizarre sci-fi UFO related stuff. I remember one episode, the guy swore that he was in contact with God on a daily basis. Another one said that he had been to the future and he can predict the day the world was going to end. Just real crazy stuff. I mean, you couldn't take most of this seriously, but it was very entertaining. I mean, I'd listen to it at night when I couldn't sleep, and yeah, I would just be going out of my mind with some of the things these people said. Let's see if we got anything else here. Good point. Eric Brunhammer, there are dozens of videos on YouTube showing how to scale the Keurig. Mine is one of them, so please look that up first. I did a video a few years back when I had my Keurig K79 Platinum Brewer, my original one that I got for Christmas from my father, and I still miss that Keurig. That Keurig made the best cup of coffee ever. The newer ones, not so much, especially with the pulse brewing. I really don't think I don't think it gets the full body of each K cup. I know the older ones, even like the one I have upstairs. I have the B70 version, which is similar to the K79 Platinum. It's still the first gen Keurig's. Even that does a better job than my Keurig 2.0, which is actually sitting downstairs and sees very little use, to be honest with you. 13 watchers, 11 likes. Come on, that's awesome. 11 likes. Thank you guys very much out there. Andrea Mallory, do you like going on amusement park rides? It depends. Do I like roller coasters? Absolutely not. I get motion sick on them. The last one I went on was Magic Mountain in Disney World, and that one I could barely tolerate. Near where we are, we have Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. For many years, I couldn't ride any of them because I was just too large. They have the Big Bad Wolf. I can't remember the names of the other ones, but those you actually suspend from the top. You have to be able to fit into a shoulder strap, and for so many years, I couldn't fit into that strap. So for me, it wasn't really a concern. GR333DY, or I'm guessing greedy. Are you still dating that girl? Yeah, we're still going out. I had mentioned that in a vlog, but I'm not actually going to say her name for privacy reasons. She was not that enthused when I told her I was going out of town for a couple of weeks, but you know what? Things happen, life happens, and fortunately, sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. All right. No more questions. I'm not answering any more questions about my relationship. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm not going there. Still waiting on those questions. Let me take another sip of this coffee. It's not. It's interesting. The other day, I think I told this in the vlog, but I'll say it here for those of you, for the benefit of you that didn't see the vlog. Um, I forgot to bring up my cups. I always like to have these travel cups with me because when I make a coffee in the morning, inevitably I'm on the go. I'm going out for a walk. And Mom was so nice when we were in Top. She wound up buying these for me. These are Dixie Brandon Key 12-ounce disposable coffee cups. And I think they're like 15 of them. They weren't cheap either. They were like $4 or $5, compared to what I get at Dollar Tree. But cheers, Mom. You're a great mom. And your Mother's Day present is forthcoming. She would not tell me what she wanted, only that she'd let me know when she sees it. Oh, it is really good. Hmm. I may have made it a little too weak though. With the cappuccino, the Aldi's French vanilla cappuccino, because it's an instant coffee rather than grounds. If you use too much water, it gets kind of diluted and it tastes kind of funky. This is borderline right now. Oh my goodness, I missed a few comments here. Ruben is here. Hey, Ruben, nice to see you again. Eric Brunhammer, I haven't been on roller coasters in several years. Around the last time I was in an amusement park, I was getting random nosebleeds and was afraid to go on any. Yeah, I think that would probably make me stop too. Definitely. Sam Harron, have you ever been into retro computing? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you look at my older videos, you can see the retro machines that I have. I'll recap real quick. I have a DOS gaming system, which I made from a old Dell XPS D233. That's a Pentium 2, 233 megahertz system. I also have a Windows 98 gaming system, which is made out of an old Gateway Essentials PC that I picked out of a dump. Actually, once again, the dump in this town a few years back. And then I also have my Windows 2000 computer, which I use as my music server. That's an HP Pavilion 8000 series desktop from 1999. That's rocking a Pentium 3 667 megahertz processor, something like that. That one actually is maxed out on memory, believe it or not. That one maxed out at 864 megabytes of memory. I know, what a weird number to max out at, but that's what I could put in. I tried to put a gig in it, but it wouldn't show the whole gig. And when I actually put it in there, it started giving me errors. So I had to remove one of the sticks. And I think, yeah, that just took PC 100, 133. AJ Mickey plays. Hey Matt, I'm just curious. Have you ever tried refurbishing and reselling smartphones? I am also self-employed. I repair, refurbish, and resell smartphones and computers. Yes, I have. I actually didn't do it for myself. When I worked for a while at Batteries Plus Bulbs, that was part of my job description. And one of the reasons I left that is because I just couldn't do it. I have very short, kind of sausage finger hands, and I don't have very good dexterity in my digits. So working on things as small as smartphones and tablets is almost impossible for me. That's why I stick to desktops, and I do work on laptops, but I stick to the basics. I do a lot of software repairs for desktops, laptops. On laptops, I'll do things like memory upgrades, hard drive upgrades, the occasional CPU, GPU upgrades. But when it comes to the real small stuff, I leave it to someone else. Basically, we have a very, very good computer repair shop locally that I just refer them to. Ruben, happy Mother's Day, Matt. I pray for your mom. Thank you very much. I pray for my family every single day. And I'm glad I could do this on Mother's Day. I was really hoping that it would work. I didn't know, once again, because I haven't really used the Wi Fi here. So apparently we have a good connection. Greedy, or GR333DY. I've heard those old Pentium 3 chips were actually pretty power efficient. Pentium 4s were a different story, though. Correct. The Pentium 3s were very solidly built chips pretty much throughout the entire generation, the slot processors and the socket ones. The one that's in mind is actually a socket Pentium 3, not a slot processor. And when it comes to playing games, especially the older games, I'm talking maybe late 90s, early 2000s, the one I can specifically remember was the Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, or Pod Racing, as a lot of people called, even though that wasn't the real name. I tried playing that on my Pentium 3, that HP, and then later on I played it on a Pentium 4, which I believe at the time was a Dell Dimension 4600, as a Pentium 4, like 3.4 gigahertz. It was one of the higher end Pentium 4s, and would you believe it? That game actually played better on the Pentium 3 than it did on the Pentium 4. Now there are a few caveats to that. The Pentium 4 was only rocking the standard Intel graphics, whereas my Pentium 3 actually has a NVIDIA GeForce 6200 in it. So it definitely was helped out a little bit by the graphics card. But I still believe, even if I was using the integrated Intel graphics that were in that Pentium 3 computer, the game would still play better on that system. So yes, you are definitely right. In a lot of instances, the Pentium 3s were much better for gaming. Stephen Barber, my XP machine is my HP Pavilion A714X, aka also known as the A720N. For me, I love this system. Yeah, I remember you told me about that computer before. They were solidly built systems. The only thing you have to watch for that from that generation is bloating capacitors. They were known to suffer from the capacitor plague, as so many systems did in the early to mid 2000s. Ruben goes, I have a GeForce 8400 GS from PNY. That is a very solidly built card, especially from PNY. Not a lot of power for gaming, but I'll tell you what, I had several 8400 GSs. One I think was from EVGA, the other a PNY. And I used to use them in systems that I would play Blu-rays with. And for, at the time, they were full HD 1080p Blu-rays. Did a phenomenal job. Very, very few frame dropouts. And yeah, just really good cards. Don DD, hey Matt, how are you guys? Hope you enjoy Mother's Day with Mom. Yes, I do, and thank you very much. We had a very, very fun day. Chris Garrett, what video card is best for the built-in DVR on Windows 10? Ooh, I would probably stick with any NVIDIA card. I know people that I've never used Windows 10's DVR function, but I do know other people that have, and they say the ATI cards can be very buggy with the DVR feature. So pretty much any NVIDIA card, you're good to go. For that, you'd probably get away with a GT series card, maybe something like a GT 640, GT 740, something like that. Greedy, how do the Pentium 3 slot CPUs compare to the socket ones? Generally, the earlier Pentium 3s were the slot processors. Later on in the series, they went to the old school socket design. From what I understand, the reason they did that had to do with cooling, because I remember in the Pentium 2 line when they introduced those slotted processors, they had a lot of issues with cooling them properly because you got to remember these were not sitting on the motherboard; these were actually sitting pretty much vertically in a socket on the motherboard, and they had to have like these three, oh my gosh, maybe 8 to 10 millimeter fans on them. And what would happen is those fans would fail after a while because they were so small, and the processors would overheat. They were both good processors in their own right, but that is why they went from the slotted back to the socketed processors. And I think a lot of that had to do with price too. Putting all that architecture in the slotted processors just cost a lot of money. And if a company can save a few pennies on a product, they'll do it. How's your memory? Are you still making eggs in the microwave? You better believe it. That's pretty much how I make my eggs. I like scrambled eggs, and I use one of those. It's basically a actually what they call. I can't think of what they call it now. My mind just went blank. It's a ceramic dish with a lid on it and a little vent on top. And what I do is I crack 2 eggs in it. I usually put a little bit of milk or half and half, something to make it a little creamy, some pepper and some seasonal. I use spike seasoning, and then I whisk it up, and I put it in the microwave. And the way I get the eggs to come out fluffy and not rubbery, I put them in for 3 minutes, but I reduce the power on the microwave to 80%. So the microwave goes on and off, and that cooks the eggs perfectly. Now, in your microwave, depending on how powerful it is, you may actually have to adjust that. If you have like a more powerful microwave, you might have to bring the power down to 60%, or if you have a weaker microwave, you may have to just leave it at 100%. But for our over-the-counter 900-watt microwave, that's what works for us. Well, I'm just looking. I need to put some more lotion on my hands in a few minutes. Ruben ate chimichangas today. Ooh, I love chimichangas, especially when they're freshly made by a really, really good Mexican restaurant. The ones he had chicken and Monterey Jack cheese. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty typical. When I go to our local spot, El Puente, it's called. That's how they usually make it. But what they do on ours, I really like. They take salsa and they mix it in, and they actually cook that into the chicken before they wrap the chicken in the chimichanga itself. Then they pour the molten cheese on top of it. Oh, so good. I'll have to get some of those when I get to my goal weight. I think that'll be my next treat. You guys know I'm about 250 right now. Well, when I get down to 240, I'll probably go out and get myself some Mexican food. That's a good recommendation. Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate it. 14 watchers and 12 likes. Awesome. I was hoping for a little bit more, but again, being this is Mother's Day, I totally understand you wanted to stay with your family. Chris Garrett, I dropped from 297 to 287. That's awesome. 10 pounds. 10 pounds is nothing to snicker at. My doctor, the last time I went there for my follow up, he told me that the most important weight that you lose is that first 10 to 15 pounds. That's where you get the most medical benefit from weight loss. By no means am I telling you only lose 15 pounds and stop. No, you want to keep going. But medically speaking, after you lose that first 15 pounds, you'll see the most benefit. So, Chris, you lost 10 pounds. You're almost there. Buddy, lose another 5 pounds, and you're going to be in a great situation for sure. Speaking of weight, how much are you weighing? Ruben asked that. I just answered that, but about 250 pounds. That's what I weighed myself last. Now, being on the trip, of course, I've eaten out a little bit. I am exercising, but I think it's going to be a push. By the time I get home and weigh myself again, I would say about 250 pounds. Sam Harron, how tall are you? I am 6'2", 6 feet 2 inches tall. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna have to go heat up that the rest of that cappuccino when I'm done here. Uh, Not yet. Ruben thought it was gonna be 240 pounds. Yeah, that would have been nice. Initially, I was hoping I could get to that weight before I got up here, but problem is when you're exercising a lot, you build muscle. You're losing fat, but you're building muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. So you, for a while, it's going to slow down your weight loss. Is the more muscle you build, the heavier you're going to weigh. So it gets harder, especially when you get closer to your goal weight. Eric Brunhammer, every pound you lose helps. 1 pound weight loss unloads 4 pounds of joint stress. Huh? That's very interesting. I never looked that up. I know that I'm feeling a lot better. A lot of people have told me that even losing 10 pounds, it's amazing how much better your joints feel. When I went under the 300-pound mark, like around 297, 298 is when I really noticed a difference. It used to be very hard for me to walk up and down stairs. I used to get winded. My knees would hurt. My lower back would hurt. But yeah, ever since, like I said, around 297, 296, I welcome stairs. I actually ran up 5 flights of stairs about a week or two ago just for the fun of it. Oh, we're down to 12 watchers. Aw, that's okay. I'm missing some of your questions here. I'm sorry. Let me go back here and see what we can find. Chris Garrett, I got an old AMD K6 350 megahertz. It is going to be my 98 machine one day. Could put an Intel CPU in it if I wanted. You'd have to change the motherboard out. But yeah, I mean, the K6 2s were okay. I was not a huge fan of them back in the day because they had stability issues, specifically with drivers for things like your sound card. I remember I had a K6, I think it was a 350 or a 375 megahertz K6 2, and I had a Sound Blaster Audigy AWE32 card in it, and the drivers just never play nicely with it. So that's when I went to my Intel systems. I actually went from an AMD system like that to an Intel Celeron running the 366 megahertz, and I'll be honest, I love that Intel Celeron. Andre Miller, what kind of shoe would you recommend for walking? The best shoe that you can buy without breaking the bank. I'll be honest with you. Now, I don't take my own advice because I buy really cheap Coleman shoes from BJ's. They have decent protection, but in the long run, if you're going to be walking a lot, you want to buy yourself a really good quality walking shoe. Skechers makes a very good walking shoe. So does Reebok and Nike. And hang on, there's another brand. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's the only one as I can think of right now. Skechers was always my favorite, to be honest with you. I think they made a very, very high quality shoe. Greedy, how can you remember all these model numbers? Now, because I don't remember much else from my childhood. Things that are important to you, things that you want to cherish, you'll remember. If you asked me what the name of my third grade English teacher was, I couldn't tell you that. But I could tell you what computer I had when I was 10 years old, the Compact Presario 9546. Go figure, right? No, no, I tell a lie. That was when I was 12 years old. When I was 10, we had the Tandy 1200 HD. Had to rethink that for a minute. I need more coffee. Hang on. Let me take a large sip of this. Mm, there we go. That should keep me going for another 10 minutes or so. Eric Brunhammer, I like Rockport shoes, but they are a little pricey. Yes, yes, they are. Like Nike makes a nice running shoe. I agree. A lot of my friends wear Nike shoes. I cannot because I have very wide feet, and at least where I live, they do not sell wide width Nike shoes. Go figure that again, right? Most of my memories revolve around cars and car stereos I have built. LOL. That was Eric Brunhammer again, by the way. Yeah, you remember again. You remember what you like. If something sticks with you that you like it, you will remember it. And like I remember my childhood going up to visit my grandmother and my uncles in that house in Green, and that's why I have major fond memories of that place. I love that little town, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I remember it from my childhood. It's a great town, by the way. I'll be honest with you. If you're ever up that way, go to Green, New York. Greene, New York. Beautiful village. Please go to the shops, go to some of the restaurants. They need your patronage. They really do, and they deserve it because there are very, very good people that live and work in that little town. Yes, it was. New Balance was the shoe I was trying to think of. Thank you. Andrea Mallory put that in there. I don't know what it was. Like I said, I think it's just I needed more coffee. Sam Heron, my first system was a 386 DX40, 8 megabytes of RAM with Windows 3.11. I like that. I love those systems. Okay. So, Sam, you are slightly older than me by about a month. Oh, Ruben, you must have been watching the last vlog. Yeah, the 10-pound weights that I was supposed to get in Kmart were 24.95 a piece. So mostly with tax, 25 would have been $50 for two of them. I said, yeah, forget it. I actually went to my aunt's closet and I found some 5-pound weights I've been using. A little less. I've been using 8-pound weights at home, but you know what? When you're away, sometimes you have to improvise. And yes, I have been doing my weights. I've been religiously doing my weights, religiously walking. The only thing I have not been doing the past few days are my sit ups and stomach crunches, mainly because this is the bottom of a house, is an apartment, and there just is not enough room for me to do it. What I might try to do, I'm actually sleeping on this futon here, and it's fairly firm. So I may try to do it when I'm in bed tonight. But if not, just wait till I get home. Yeah, I agree. $50 is absolutely ridiculous for 10-pound weights. Yes, this is the Kmart in Wellsville, New York. And don't get me wrong, I am not speaking ill of the Kmart here. The reason the prices are so high is this is a little farm community, basically. This town, the nearest large city to here is Hornell, New York, which is about 35, 40 minutes away. When you live in a very rural town anywhere, things are going to cost more because it costs more to get them here. Those trucks that have to bring them here have to drive a lot further. If you're close to a major highway like where we live in Virginia, the trucks it's easy for them. They're going across country on these interstates to just get off the highway, drop off their load, get on, go to the warehouse, pick up the other load, keep going down the interstate, and then drop it off to the other town. But when you're this far out, the shipping costs alone are substantial. Stephen Barber, it's sad to see Kmart go. We don't have any more Kmarts. Sadly, best of my childhood just walked away. Yeah, a lot of them are closing. And the only reason the one here is open is, again, that is really that is the only department store in this town. The one other department store, and I don't know the name of it, used to be in the middle of town, closed about 10 years ago. My aunt says. Other than that, they do have $2 Generals, a Family Dollar, which I haven't seen, a Rite Aid, and a Walgreens. And then we have Dunkin' Donuts. They do have a Burger King and a McDonald's, but that is about it. And one hotel. That's right, guys. They have one actual hotel. They have a bunch of like cheap independent motels around the town, but in the town itself, they have one hotel, and I don't even remember the name of it. Okay, Andre. Yeah, I'll look into that a little later for you. Ruben goes, "Hey Matt, do you use Google Plus much often?" Not really, not as much as I should. I usually stick to Facebook. I use Pinterest, Tumblr, and Instagram on occasions, but mainly Facebook. Because let's face it, everybody that's anybody is on Facebook. What is the point of going over to Google Plus, especially since these videos are live on YouTube and then posted to YouTube when everything's done? But every once in a while, I'll check my Google Plus page. Chris Garrett, I live in a rural area, but there is an interstate that runs through. It's a town of about 16 or 17,000. Yeah, and that makes all the difference. And I'm assuming that your prices there are probably a little bit more reasonable than they are here. And that is because you are close to a major highway. Ruben goes, so no Discord or Patreon. I've never heard of Discord. No, I do not have a Patreon page. A lot of people have suggested I make one, but the only reason to do a Patreon page is to pretty much elicit donations. In other words, ask for money. And I'm not the kind of person that likes to do that. I mean, there may be a time in the future that'll happen, but for right now, I don't really have a need for it. Eric Brunhammer, off topic. Well, that's okay. This is a free for all, so being off topic's just fine. Once again, I want to wish everybody out there, all you mothers that are attending my live stream, a happy Mother's Day. I want to make sure I do that a few more times. Off topic, but on the way up, I ended up only averaging 13.88 miles per gallon coming back to New Jersey. May want to check your air filter there. Matter of fact, I was just watching a Scotty Kilmer video, and that's what he suggested. The first thing you check if you're getting really bad gas mileage is to make sure you don't have a dirty air filter. Ruben wants to know, when am I going back to Hampton Roads? I have absolutely no idea at this point, to be honest with you. This is kind of an open-ended trip. Um, as it comes to my business customers, I have other people I can refer them to. The computers that I'm selling, my dad's actually taking care of that. If somebody's interested in a computer, he'll set it up and show it because he's at home anyway. He's retired. So we're in no rush to get home. Pretty much when we get tired, we're going to get home. Now, if something happens, like one of my clients really needs me, then yes, I will have to go home. But as of right now, we're not in a rush at all. Oh, okay, that explains it. Eric Bramber goes, the traffic was horrible. Yeah, stop and go traffic will plummet your gas mileage. Andre Mallory, Starbucks fan or Dunkin' for a good cup of Joe? Dunkin'. Absolutely Dunkin' Donuts. I cannot stand Starbucks coffee. The few times that I was forced to go there by some friends because we had a couple of meetings going on, I got the smallest cup of regular coffee that I could find, and I sipped it and wound up throwing about three-quarters of it out. And I apologize. No, I'm not going to apologize. I do that too much on this channel. For those of you that are Starbucks fans out there, teach your own, but I cannot stand Starbucks coffee. To me, it is bitter and tastes like mud. Stephen Barber, it is said that I use Microsoft OneDrive instead of Google Drive. I pay for Office 365. My email goes through Gmail, but my work stuff goes through OneDrive. Hey, it's the best. Again, to each his own. I don't really use a lot of cloud storage. I do have my Google Drive set up for files that I may need on the go, and I'll upload them to there. I do have Office 365 that I buy a subscription for, same as you. And yeah, again, whatever works for you. I am not going to absolutely say you need to go out there and buy a PC. Get rid of that Mac. It stinks. No, I don't like Macs personally for what I do, what I need a computer for. If you are in the, music industry, if you do graphic designing and you know the software and you know the Mac works best for you, buy it. But for me, I just think PCs work better. Oh, Ruben didn't hear the answer about when I'm going back to Hampton Roads. Ruben, I don't know right now. It's up in the air. We'll decide on that at a later date. Oh, Eric Brunhammer's leaving. That's all right. Thank you for coming, Eric, and I'll catch you on the next live stream. Got 13 watchers, 15 likes. Awesome. I got more likes than I have watchers. That's awesome. That means pretty much everybody that was here left a like. Starbucks is overpriced, Chris Garrett. Yeah, that's if that isn't the understatement of the year. Uh, Ruben gave me a like. Thank you very much. Oh wow, we're up to 17 likes. Woo! See what else we got going on here. Not any other questions right now. I'll tell you, sitting in front of this light for so long, it really gets to you. I got three 60-watt daylight bulbs in there, and helps you guys out. But I'm telling you, it's giving me one heck of a tan right now. But you know what? That's okay. Anything to help this live stream out. Edwin Tama, Thoma. Hello, sir. This is Edwin. 76, U.S. and 1961 to 1993. Wow. Does that mean you're in the United Nations? I'm assuming that's what that means. Look something up here. I'm having a little internet hiccup here. Awesome. There we go. I think we're back. Got it. Yeah, Chris Garrett said I thought I was the oldest. No, I know I have some of you guys out there that are up there. But you know what? That's fine. I like interacting with people of all ages. That's what makes this world great. Oh, U.S. Navy. I got you. I got you. Yes, thank you for your service. I cannot tell you how much respect I have for our military, whether it be Navy, Army, Marines. Unfortunately, I was never able to serve, and the main reason was these two things right here in the middle of my face. My eyesight was never good enough. I tried in high school to get into the Navy, the Coast Guard, and I even looked into the Marines, and they both all told me the same thing. No, your eyesight is not good enough. But you know what? I was able to help in my own special way. Nope, I didn't forget the Coast Guard. I'll give everybody a shout out. Where I live, there are a lot of Coast Guards. There's actually a Coast Guard base maybe 20 minutes from my house. Actually, not even, probably more like 15. Whoa. Can I whistle? I can whistle better when I'm more hydrated. But yeah, I couldn't when I was younger, though. I've only been able to whistle since I was maybe 25 or 26. Thank you very much. Stephen Barber, thanks for your service. I have high respect for you guys and the Marine Corps. Absolutely. If you're serving this country should take care of you. And I'll be honest, it kind of sickens me when I see veterans from all walks of life, especially down where we live in Virginia at the VA, that cannot get treatment. In my opinion, if they cannot get treated at the Veterans Hospital, then our country should pay for them to get treated at any hospital, whether it's private, or state-owned hospitals. That's just the way I feel, to be honest with you. Sam Heron, who are your favorite YouTubers? Oh my goodness, there are so many of them out there. I like Tyler Johnson, or Tyler's Tech Channel, he's called now. I will watch Kid Behind the Camera occasionally. I like Scotty Kilmer, Taco Stacks. He's one that does scrap metal hauls. He does, garbage picking too. Who else do I watch a lot? Hang on a second. I got to pull it up right now. Of course, Eric Brunhammer. Eric, I'm not going to forget you. You know I love your channel too. The Carpetbagger I do watch. Frosty Life is really good. He is a pilot that has a lot of cats that do really funny things. Diesel Doocy for vintage elevators or elevator videos in general. And I'll tell you one more. Oh my goodness. Redneck Rickham. He's a Canadian guy that owns his own garage. He hasn't put a lot of content up lately, but he does a lot of automotive repair, and he's a real funny guy. Eric Brunhammer. Oh, Eric, you're still here. Awesome. I worked with a guy who I couldn't get along with and couldn't figure him out. I saw the USMC tattooed on his arm and knew how to deal with him after that. Yeah. Sometimes when people are released from the military, they have a hard time making that transition back into the civilian life. They want to treat people in their civilian walks of life like they're all in the military. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work. Andrea Mallory, how do you feel about the new Christopher Robin movie coming out? I haven't, of course, I haven't seen it. I do remember Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin, Eeyore, Tigger, all of them from my younger days. Be interesting. I would definitely like to see it. There's something I wanted to share with you guys. Let me pull this up really quick. This is when I miss my dual monitors because I actually have to minimize my video to look up what I want to. Oh, there it is. Okay. YouTube user Walsh St. James, he had sent me a link to a picture that he put up on, actually put a picture up on Facebook of the Nature's Own bread, the one that I told you guys was really, really good from Dollar Tree. And I think he was only able to get the regular wheat bread, which I think is like 50 calories a slice. But if you can, and this was at Dollar Tree, if you can find the honey oat or the honey wheat bread, that one's only 40 calories a slice. And that's what I've been doing lately, basically eating that bread because you figure bread is a large part of the calories in any sandwich, and have two slices of that, it's only 80 calories. That leaves a lot of room for me to have maybe a little bit extra meat, a little extra cheese, or even maybe a little extra mayonnaise if I want to. So just make good, solid, intelligent choices when it comes to your diet, and you'll be fine. You'll get to your weight goals. Edwin Tom, did you see the message referring to age of my children, 6 and 8? No, I didn't, but I do see that one. That is awesome. I hope to have a child of my own someday. Once when I meet the right girl. Who knows? Maybe that'll be sooner than later. Stephen Barber, I stopped vlogging. Sadly, just a big pain for me to video edit and stuff. But I might do vlogs again. Not sure though. It's the way I feel about that. I do vlogging because it's therapeutic for me. I enjoy it. I don't much like the editing part, but I don't highly edit my videos anyway. But I enjoy sharing information with you guys. I enjoy sharing my life with you, and that's why I do it. If vlogging became a tedious task that I woke up in the morning and said, "Oh no, another day, I got to put another vlog out," I would absolutely stop. A good example of that is Vlogging Life. If you guys ever watched this channel, he's a gentleman from Canada that vlogged every day for about 6 years. And he wound up stopping because it got to the point where he just hated it. It was like a chore. YouTube to me should not be a chore. If you want to make it if you want to make it your life's work, if you want to make a living from it, that's great. But you don't want it to be a chore. It's the same thing with your job. Anything you do, if you don't enjoy it, it's going to be tedious. You're not going to want to get out of that bed every morning. So, you know what? Sometimes it requires a change. Your life requires a change. Make that change because if you don't, you're just going to be miserable. And I know a lot of people that are like that, unfortunately. Hey Matt, did you watch the Roseanne show? No, I didn't. But I do. I did tape it. A lot of shows I'm gonna have to watch once I get home because I made sure before I left that I DVR'd everything I wanted to see, and that's all kind of piling up. I did see last week's Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon though, because my aunt actually tapes Young Sheldon, and she has on demand, so I went back on the on demand and watched the Big Bang Theory. Actually, I might do that tonight for Roseanne. That's a good idea. When I found everything else to do, I might just do that. Give me a good idea. I'm actually surprised. It is 8:02 and it is still sunny here. It is really coming to summer's coming really quickly. And I'll show you guys something in this area. Believe it or not all the leaves are on the trees yet. May 13th, and some of the trees still look like they're in winter mode. Andre Mallory, what do you do for a job? I am a computer repair technician slash analyst, and of course, I also do YouTube. There are other things that I do as well, but those are the two main jobs that I have. Stephen Barber, trust me, YouTube will never be my job. That's what my IT job is for. Yep, hey, that's fine. Doesn't have to be. It's just some fun. That's true. Chris Garrico's, it was cold up in this area late last year. Yeah, that's what I heard. My aunt said they had some snow like in end of April, which is kind of normal for this area, but it hasn't been for the last maybe 5 or 10 years. Sam Heron, who inspires you? Ooh, it's a very good question. My parents inspire me every day. My father's a very inspirational person at times. If you're talking about celebrities, Roseanne, absolutely Roseanne, because she's a woman that came from meager means, had a lot of hardships throughout her life, and look what she's done. She is a famous actress. She's an activist. She speaks up for many different organizations. She made something of herself. And to me, that is very inspiring. T storms in Texas and most of Maryland. Yeah, we had them here yesterday for sure. Stephen Barber, Steve Jobs is the one who inspired me to become what I am today. I've heard that from a lot of people. Jobs, or Steve Jobs, CEO of Apple Computers for a while, was a very, very bright man. Even though he did have his demons, he could be very, very hard on people at times, but can't argue with results. And look at what Apple Computers has become. And look what happened when he left in the was it early '90s. They almost went under. And then when he came back in '97 and he introduced the first generation of iMacs, that totally turned that company around. Yeah, tremendous respect for him. Sad that we lost him. We lost him way too young. Ruben goes, I'm back to live streaming. Did you see it yesterday on my channel? No, I didn't. Being that I'm not at home, I'm not really looking at my YouTube feed like I should. And if I miss some of your videos, I do apologize. Right now, there are other priorities, I'd say unfortunately, but I'll get back into the swing of things, especially once I get back home. Got some conversations about Samsung phones here. Sam Herring goes, the S7. Yeah, that was my old phone, the S7 Edge to be specific. That was a great phone, and the person who owns it now, I'm sure, is getting a lot of good use out of it. For me, it was just time to upgrade. It was getting a little on the slow side for all the new apps out there. Going to the S9 Plus now, I have 2 more gigs of memory. Plus, I have an octa-core processor versus a dual core, no, quad core, which was in the S7 Edge. I'm gonna have to end this in a few minutes. My nose is getting plugged up, and I am starting to lose my voice. So I'm gonna have to take some allergy meds here in a few minutes. All right, tubers. I'm going to end this. This has gone on for an hour and 12 minutes. Hope you guys really enjoyed this live stream. Please continue to like and subscribe. I'm going to try to put out some more good content here. I'm going to try to do maybe a walk around of the town one day while I'm here. Unfortunately, I don't have my GoPro with me, so I'll have to either use my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, or I did bring the Nikon D5500 DSLR with me. And as I say all the time, have a blessed day, everybody.